we doing, Facebook? And class. I have another graduating class today. I think I have 12, 11. 11 graduates today. I have a few people already lined up with some work, but as always, we always have some fresh faces looking for employment. This class actually didn't get to meet any of the recruiters, I believe. Everybody was tied up this week. Anyway, I want to award the certificates just like I do every let's say Sunday. That's the day of the week. They all kind of blend together. So without further ado, let's get this going. David Butler. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Jonathan Diaz. No, Diaz, right? Fred, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, Fred. I'm not wait and take care of the agency stuff for the application.
Yes, sir.
Robbins. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Tanisha. One of the other unofficial class leaders. Oh, here comes the second one. Tatiana. All right. It's you. The other class leader, Matthew.
Anytime. All three of them.
Aaron Fleeter. Aaron Brindley. Thank you. Ishva.
Thank you. Their instrumental coordinator.
There you have it. This week's graduates of PSI. Real quick, want to touch base on the application process and what classes of license are available from the Department of Agriculture. As funny as it sounds, the Department of Agriculture is, like this class learned, a regulating body. I don't know why agriculture has anything to do with security, repossession, recovery, private investigation, mechanics, God knows why, but it's the state for you, especially Florida. They have a tendency of doing stuff that just doesn't make sense. Anyway, classes of licenses that are available to the officers, you have your D license. If you want to work unarmed security, you need a basic license is a D license. That's the course that these graduates just taken. Costs $150 in person, $140 if you register for it online prior to coming to class. We also do a military discount. Anybody who has been discharged from the military within the last 24 months to coincide with the Department of Agriculture's reduction in the application process for recent releasees from who have ETS'd, we're doing the class for $125. We also offer discount programs for security agencies wishing to sponsor people for the academy to get their license as well. The discounted rate for someone who's been discharged or ETS in the last 24 months would be $42. They pay for just a background check. Every license out there has a background check. Okay, if you wind up getting your license, Connor, I know you said you're going to get your license, your G license as well. So if you submit for your D license and within 6 months decide to submit for your G license, you do not have to pay another $42 for me see something. No, it's 90 days, I'm sorry. Not 6 months. I gotta check something here. I gotta get my DI license. Yeah, I think it's 90 days is what it is. Anyway, you won't have to pay for another background check to be done. Now, not to get confused with a few things, the Department of Agriculture does issue the concealed carry permit, concealed weapons permit, okay? Even though it's issued by the Department of Agriculture, it is actually a separate entity inside of that agency. So even if you've submitted the background check through them, you're still gonna do another background check. So let's say you wanna take this a step further, okay? And become an armed security officer. To do that, you need to obtain an additional 28 hours worth of training, which we do offer. Right now, we're down to doing it once a month. We may go back to our every other week schedule, depending on the volume that we get. An additional 28 hours, another fee to the Department of Agriculture. I think it's 112 plus 42, so it's like 154 or something like that for the initial application for G. That's assuming you haven't gotten it within the last 90 days. I say 90 because I know it's 90. It could be 6 months, but I'll figure that one out later. Anyway, so you have your G license. Now you have a D license, your unarmed security license. You have your G license, your armed security license. It's training we offer here. The Department of Agriculture has also authorized more calibers. Initially, it used to be 38, nice old wheel gun, right? 9mm, 380. So the 2 semi-automatic rounds. You can actually get revolvers in 9mm as well. And then you can carry a 357 mag, but it has to be loaded and chambered with 38 special ammunition. Sorry, it actually is specific to 38 special because they do make another round that's not so common as 38 Smith & Wesson. Now, take it a little bit further. Department of Agriculture has authorized security officers to now carry 40 and 45 caliber. All right. So now we've expanded this a little bit. If you were previously licensed under the 9mm, 38, or 380 calibers, you can't just jump in and grab whatever gun you want to use, 40 or 45. You have to certify with that caliber. You need to demonstrate proficiency with it. So before you can carry a 40 or a 45, you have to come get certified. And you have to take the 240-point course, the 48 shots, 24 left, 24 right, the whole shot course with the weapon you want to carry. It's actually more specific to caliber. Weapon does matter in some sense, but realistically it only matters in the type and caliber. Actually, I'm sorry, the caliber of the weapon that you're going to carry. All right. Now it's funny though because 357 SIG and 45 GAP are not covered. It is specifically stated 45 ACP and 40 Smith & Wesson. 357 SIG is actually almost 38 caliber for the most part. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't use 357 SIG and do not use the 45 GAP. First of all, you're going to pay out the back end for that ammunition. All right, it's expensive. Cheaper to go 45 or 40. Better to stick with 9mm anyway. But so that's that. Now, if you want to get a concealed weapons permit, that's issued through agriculture as well. Here we do them for $60. You can also take advantage of our gun fair. Will probably be coming up in September. We'll do them for $35. That's going to be, we'll figure out, give you a date on that later, but usually coincides with the gun fair, or gun show, I'm sorry. So keep that in mind, keep that in the back of your head. I believe the initial application fee has been just dropped, $10 from the Department of Agriculture for that, so they're coming down on the price a little bit. So you have your D and you have your G. Let's say that you've been doing this for 3 years and I can teach. You have the ability to talk, stand in front of people and talk. So you have a DI license, the instructor's license. That's something that you can obtain as well. All right. Going back to the G license, a lot of companies are going to say, well, take the G class and then get your license immediately, a temporary issue. So there's a process behind that. On top of getting your class done, all right, then you've got to go and get a physical completed by a doctor. It can't be your friend. Turn in, you look, call. Good time. Doesn't work that way. Got to get a doctor, a physician to sign off on it. The next thing, you're going to have to take a psychological evaluation. You either have a psychologist, psychiatrist sign off on your paperwork stating that you're mentally sound and perfectly capable of carrying out armed work. All right, or you come see us. We offer the same thing. I believe we charge $80 for the psychological evaluation. We do it. We get the results back within a couple of days. Come to us. We pick up the form. We sign off on the form. We take it back to your agency. And then the agency winds up signing off on that, putting all their information on it. You take that with your application, and I believe you pay an additional $15 on top of the application fee for the G license to get the license issued right away. So you can start working armed. Now, they usually issue it within 24 to 48 hours, as long as your background's come back clean. Okay. Anyway, so you get your DI license as an instructor. If you take it a step further and you have your G license for 3 years, all right, you contact the NRA and find out when the next firearms instructor course is going on. You can go and take their law enforcement and security firearms instructors course. Costs a pretty good penny, but still, yet again, well worth it. Once you get that, you petition the state of Florida Department of Agriculture to get your Class K firearms instructor's license. All right. To teach with a Class K, you take a test. As long as you pass that, pass background, same process as before, get your K license, get your firearms instructor's license. Now with the DI license, the only way that you can teach is through a DS, a school, all right, a security school registered with the state of Florida. You have to have a classroom, laboratories, X amount of feet per student, so on and so forth, accessible, handicapped, the whole 9 yards, right? Well, with a Class K license, you don't need a facility. You can teach it anywhere. It's kind of nice that way. It gives you a little bit of freedom. Because the Class K license will also authorize you to teach concealed weapon permit courses. So you can set things up and go to people's homes and teach in the home. They still have to demonstrate firearm proficiency in front of an instructor, which is you, if you get your K. You take that, you got to go to the range somewhere. You got to display competency and proficiency with a gun. All right? If you are looking to get your concealed, if you're military and you have your DD-214, your discharge paperwork, you do not have to take a concealed carry course. We always advise to do it so you understand the laws behind how Florida carry works. But other than that, you have demonstrated firearm proficiency in front of a range master. All right? Anybody who's been through basic training went through basic rifle marksmanship. Moving right along with that, you also have law enforcement and corrections all go through firearms, through the FDLE, CJSTC. Same for other states, they have their own criminal justice training programs. That qualifies you. All right? If you display your retired credentials, that's perfectly acceptable as well. And last but not least, for exception to having to take a class, a hunter safety card. The hunter safety card that Florida gives you is actually, you have demonstrated firearm proficiency. Right? Outside of taking the hunter safety courses online and what to do, field dressing, yada, 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 you still have to shoot in front of someone to show them that you display competency with a firearm. And then last but not least, when it gets down to not having to take a class, is taking a class. All right? So if you don't have any of those, you have to come take a class. Right? Now, it's kind of screwed up, and I don't agree with it, and a lot of people don't either. There is no set curriculum for concealed weapon permit class. The NRA has one. It costs an arm and a leg. You literally have to go and spend X amount of dollars to take a online course, and then another amount to pay that, take the class, and take the test. And then you have to find an NRA instructor, pay them for their times, come in here to the instructor, sit there for X amount of hours. When you're done with that, you take a test there, and then you go back online and take another test and pay more money for it. Once they get all that done, then you can go, after you've dropped out your firstborn child, then you can go and submit for the license. The state of Florida says, we don't care. Display competency and proficiency with a firearm. That's all they require. All right. Anyway, so we talked about the DS as a school. If you want to run your own security agency, well, security agency is a Class B license. If you're already working with a friend who has an agency, well, hey, let me go ahead and start a branch office, a BB license. All right. Any security company has to have an office within 50 miles of a permanent post in any radius. All right? If you exceed that 50-mile mark, you can do it on a temporary short-term basis, but anything outside of 50 miles, you're supposed to have a branch office. All right? So technically it's actually 100 miles between branch offices because it's a 50-mile radius in one direction from each one of those pieces. So 50 miles from Tampa, 50 miles from Naples, you got 100 miles in between the two, good to go. Been doing this long enough as well, I think for 3 years, and you want to step into a manager's position. You need an M license. All right, branch manager, same thing. You're going to need a manager's license. All right. Private investigators. Now, I'm not even going to get into that with you. That's Class C and Class CC intern. You've got an internship. You've got continuing education. It's a process. It's a dying art because, quite honestly, nobody really uses private investigators anymore. But licenses are available. And we also have the PI agency, A license. If they start a branch, it's AA, not Alcoholics Anonymous, but same thing. So that's going to conclude my segment on different types of licenses. You can tell I'm starting to try to figure out different things to talk about. We may wind up starting back over with some things we talked about before on these live streams, but we'll get there. Do we have any questions? You guys enjoy the class?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little different than what you expected, though, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, better.
Yeah. It's either that or get bored. The state has a mandatory curriculum that the DSs and DIs are supposed to abide by, which we do. It's just so much of it is
Redundant.
yeah, it's redundant to say the least. I hope that you guys actually learn what the job is really going to entail, not what a book says it is, because quite honestly, there's a difference between it. You have your theories all in front of you, all the books that you've gone through today and the last 4 days. It's all theory. Practical application of everything, that's where it's going to take effect. You know, a lot of you guys, gatehouse security is the big thing. Smile, be polite. You know, fake smiles. Have a good one. You know, just got to do your job. Very easy, very simple, very basic. There are different companies out there that operate differently with different procedures. It's something you'll have to experience on your own. Not all companies are the same. You have your smaller firms and you have your national firms, your larger firms. And you'll get to experience the difference between all of them. Eventually, you'll finally settle into a place that you'll like. Security has a very high turnover, usually because of that. It's like, man, I just want to find something that I really like. And then once you find it, you usually don't wind up going anywhere after that. Case in point. So, we're going to finish up here. We've got some more terrorism awareness stuff to watch. And with that being said, come check us out, psifortmyers.com. If you want to become a security officer and know somebody who wants to do security, come see us. If you want to get your, expand on what you already know and get your G license, we do that just as well. All right? Give us a call, 239-936-7044. I'll just give you my cell phone number. Check us out on YouTube. All right, all of this information that we talk about during the Facebook things, we're all putting together a compilation and putting it on YouTube. All right. Come check out our sister agency. We've got Tactical Weapons, the Gun Negotiator. Dave's on there. You know, another good program armed security can get into, retired military, corrections, so on and so forth, is the Block Blue Label program. It's a great discount program. Check it out. Jesse Morgan with Morgan Manufacturing, the extractor tool. It's another good one to check out. All right. Classes for unarmed security, 150, 140 to 150. If you want to do weekend, 165 to 175, depending on how you pay. Class G starts at 199. All right. Any questions from the? No, of course not. Never. Suppose people have better things to do on Sunday. It's better with the family and have fun. So, I'm Mike with PSI, and as always, stay informed.